Trump's Pentagon plan just blew up in his face. He's shocked and his political world is shaken as Washington insiders scramble to piece together what went wrong. The former president had been working quietly behind the scenes, attempting to craft a strategy that would project strength abroad while reassuring his base at home. But what began as a carefully calculated show of power has collapsed into a swirl of chaos, confusion and backlash, leaving even his closest allies questioning the wisdom of his approach. The plan, which sources inside the Pentagon say had been months in the making, was designed to demonstrate Trump's enduring influence over military and defensive policy even though he is no longer in office. According to multiple officials briefed on the matter, Trump had envisioned a sweeping move that would put pressure on foreign adversaries while reminding American voters of his tough-on-defense image. But instead of bolstering his reputation, the scheme has backfired spectacularly, unleashing a firestorm of criticism from lawmakers, generals and even members of his own party. At the core of the controversy is a set of proposals Trump had floated to his circle of advisors aimed at reshaping America's defensive posture while also tying it directly to his ongoing political campaign. The former president sought to leverage his perceived connections with Pentagon insiders to make it appear that his ideas still carried weight in Washington, but sources reveal that many in the defense establishment balked at the proposals, describing them as reckless, unworkable and potentially destabilizing. When leaks of the plan reached the media, Trump's carefully built narrative unraveled almost instantly. The shockers were immediate. Foreign policy experts warned that the mere suggestion of meddling with classified defensive strategies could embolden America's rivals. Officials in allied capitals expressed alarm that Trump would once again risk international stability for domestic political gain. Inside the Pentagon, senior officers bristled at what they saw as an attempt to politicize military decision-making. Several retired generals publicly blasted the move, calling it a dangerous stunt that undermined confidence in the chain of command and put troops at unnecessary risk. Trump, meanwhile, appeared blindsided by the reaction. People close to him describe him as furious, pacing and demanding answers about who leaked the plan and why it was being portrayed so negatively rather than rallying around him. However, many Republican lawmakers distanced themselves, wary of being tied to what quickly became a scandalous spectacle. A handful of loyalists defended him, arguing that Trump was merely raising important questions about defense readiness, but their voices were drowned out by the growing chorus of condemnation. What made the situation even worse for Trump was the timing. His effort to spotlight defensive policy came at a moment when he was already under intense legal and political scrutiny, with multiple investigations swirling around him. The Pentagon controversy piled onto an already heavy load of negative headlines, reinforcing a narrative that he thrives on chaos but struggles to produce concrete results. Opponents seized on the debacle as proof that Trump is unfit to return to the presidency, painting him as reckless, impulsive and obsessed with personal image rather than national security. Behind the scenes, the unraveling of Trump's plan revealed deep divisions within his inner circle. Some aides urged him to quietly step back and let the controversy fade, while others pushed him to double down and portray himself as the victim of a coordinated smear campaign. Trump's instinct, as always, was to fight back. He launched into a series of rants at rallies and on social media, blasting the media, the Pentagon leadership and his political enemies for conspiring against him. But those attacks only amplified the story and kept the controversy alive. Observers note that Trump has long sought to present himself as a champion of the military, boasting about increases to defensive spending during his time in office and frequently surrounding himself with generals at campaign events. But his relationship with the Pentagon has always been fraught. Many top military officials privately distrusted him, viewing his instincts as unpredictable and his decision-making as self-serving. The latest scandal only widened that gulf. According to insiders, senior defense officials are now determined to firewall themselves against any further attempts by Trump to wield influence from the outside. The public response has been equally intense. Polling conducted in the days after the plan became public showed a sharp drop in voter confidence about Trump's ability to handle national security. Independents in particular expressed alarm at the idea that he would meddle in sensitive military affairs for political theater. Even among Republicans, there was unease, while a majority still supported him. Overall, a significant portion said they believed the Pentagon controversy hurt his credibility. The backlash extended beyond Washington as veterans groups condemned the maneuver, calling it an insult to those who serve. Internationally, the fallout has been just as severe. European allies voiced concerns that Trump's actions could complicate ongoing security cooperation at a time of heightened global tensions. Foreign adversaries, meanwhile, reportedly watched with interest, viewing the episodes as evidence of political dysfunction in the United States. Intelligence analysts warned that the perception of division and chaos could be exploited by rival powers, making America appear weaker on the world stage. As the controversy deepened, Trump scrambled to rewrite the narrative. He insisted that the so-called Pentagon plan was mischaracterized by the media and that he had never sought to undermine the military. His spokesperson claims the former president was merely advocating for a stronger defense and better protection of American interests, but the damage was done. The details that had already leaked painted a very different from picture one of political calculation mixed with questionable judgment, and now those perceptions are proving difficult to reverse. The saga has also reignited debate about Trump's approach to governance and leadership. Critics say that Pentagon debacle is just the latest example of his tendency to prioritize spectacle over substance and loyalty over expertise. Supporters counter that the backlash is overblown, fueled by entrenched interests determined to keep Trump out of power. Whatever the truth, the episode underscores how polarizing the former president remains and how even out of office he has the capacity to stir up major controversy. For Trump personally, the most painful blow may be the sense that he has lost his once ironclad grip over the political narrative. In his first campaign years, he thrived on bending media coverage to his will, turning scandals into opportunities to rally his base. But the Pentagon fiasco shows that the old playbook may no longer work as effectively as before. Coverage of the controversy has dominated news cycles for weeks, overshadowing his campaign message and forcing him into a defensive crouch. Allies whisper that he seems rattled. Privately, he is said to have admitted to confidants that he was caught off guard. Looking ahead, the fallout from Trump's collapsed Pentagon plan could have lasting consequences. Legal experts note that any suggestion of leaking classified or sensitive defense information could invite scrutiny from investigators, while political analysts warn that the scandal could alienate swing voters in key battleground states already fatigued by years of turmoil. At the same time, however, Trump's core base remains fiercely loyal and may view the episodes as yet another example of the establishment trying to take him down. How the balance tips could determine the trajectory of his political future. The Pentagon itself has moved swiftly to reassure the public, issuing statements emphasizing that no operational security was compromised and that the nation's defenses remain strong. Yet officials admit privately that the distraction has been unhelpful, coming at a time when focus should be on external threats rather than political drama. Inside the military, there is frustration and fatigue with the constant politicization of defensive policy, which many fear undermines morale and trust in leadership. Even as Trump continues to lash out at critics, the larger story may be slipping beyond his control. Congressional committees are already discussing hearings into the controversy, seeking answers about whether any inappropriate influence was attempted. Within the Pentagon, Democrats are eager to spotlight the scandal, while some Republicans quietly hope it fades away before inflicts further damage on their party. For now, the questions continue to mount and Trump's explanations do little to quiet the storm. What remains clear is that the episode has exposed once again the volatility of Trump's political style, built on shock moves, dramatic gestures, and an instinct to bulldoze through opposition. It is a style that can generate intense loyalty but also spectacular failures when the gambles go wrong. The Pentagon debacle is one such moment, a miscalculation that was supposed to project strength but instead highlighted weakness and division. In the coming months, the story may evolve as new details emerge. Investigators dig deeper and Trump adjusts his response, but the initial verdict from both Washington and the wider world is already written. His Pentagon plan blew up in his face, leaving him shocked, scrambling, and politically wounded. Whether he can recover remains the question that will define the next stage of his campaign and perhaps the future of American politics itself. The fallout has turned into a test not only of Trump's resilience, but of the nation's tolerance for chaos in leadership. His opponents insist this is the final straw, a demonstration that he cannot be trusted with the nation's most sensitive responsibilities. His supporters argue it as proof that he still terrifies the establishment so much that they will seize on anything to snare him, whichever interpretation prevails. One fact is undeniable: the Pentagon controversy has reshaped the conversation around Trump, reminding everyone that even out of office he remains a force that can shape the political and national security landscape. At its core, the scandal is a story of ambition colliding with reality. Trump envisioned a dramatic power play that would cement his influence. Instead, he finds himself cornered by backlash from the military, political isolation from moderates, and renewed skepticism from the public. His trademark confidence may mask a shock, but those who know him say the sting is real. In private moments, he admits frustration, disbelief, and anger at how quickly his plan collapsed. The man who once seemed untouchable now faces a reminder that even his boldest moves can end in spectacular failure. The image of Trump reeling from the fallout is one that will linger in Washington. The Pentagon plan was supposed to be his latest triumph. Instead, it has become his most recent disaster, exposing the limits of his influence and raising fresh doubts about his political future. For now, he remains on the defensive, trying